The message arrived on a Tuesday morning, Earth Standard Time. Admiral Chen Wei-lin sat in her chair deep beneath the Swiss mountains, watching the alien face on her screen with the same expression she might use to study weather reports. The creature, calling itself Ambassador Zethkar, looked like a cross between a lizard and a spider. Its 4 arms moved as it spoke, and its voice came through the translators with a wet, clicking sound that made most humans uncomfortable. But Chen had heard worse sounds in her 70 years of military service. Primitive species of the 3rd planet, Zethkar announced, its yellow eyes gleaming with what humans had learned to recognize as alien arrogance. The hegemony of stellar nations has decided your fate. You have 72 of your local time periods to surrender completely. Your military forces will be disbanded. Your population will be relocated to work colonies. Your planet will be strip-mined for resources. Chen's aide, a young captain named Torres, shifted nervously beside her. The captain had never seen an alien before today. Most humans hadn't. Earth had been cut off from the galaxy for 300 years. Ever since that first disastrous contact when humanity learned exactly what their galactic neighbors thought of them. If you refuse, Zethkar continued, our fleets will burn your cities and scatter your ashes across the void. This is not a negotiation. This is an announcement of fact. The transmission ended with a burst of static. The alien's image disappeared, leaving only a star map showing the positions of what looked like several thousand warships heading toward Earth's solar system. Captain Torres swallowed hard. Admiral, should I alert the civilian governments? Start evacuation procedures? Chen smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. No, Captain. Send a standard diplomatic response. Tell them we acknowledge receipt of their message and are considering our options. Torres stared at her. That's all? That's all they deserve to know right now. Chen turned to her communications officer. Then send activation code Lazarus to all department heads. Full implementation. It's time. The communications officer's fingers flew across her keyboard. Within seconds, messages were racing through quantum-encrypted channels to every corner of the solar system and beyond. Messages that had been prepared and updated for 3 centuries, waiting for this exact moment. Chen stood and walked to the massive wall display that showed Earth's solar system. To alien eyes, it would look empty except for the blue-green planet and its silver moon. They would see some small settlements on Mars, maybe a few mining stations in the asteroid belt. Nothing threatening. Nothing that suggested the tiny human species could resist the might of galactic civilization. The aliens had made the same mistake many predators made. They assumed that because they couldn't see their prey fighting back, their prey was helpless. Captain Torres, do you know what happened after first contact? Chen asked, still looking at the star map. Torres nodded. The Vorthak Empire sent a survey ship to evaluate Earth for colonization. When they found out humans were the dominant species, they laughed. The ship's captain called us amusing pets and said we might be useful as manual laborers if we could be properly trained. And what did humanity do? The Global Defense Council met in emergency session. They decided Earth needed to disappear from galactic awareness until we were strong enough to defend ourselves. Chen's smile widened. That's the official story. The real story is much more interesting. She turned away from the display. 300 years ago, Captain, humanity made a decision that our enemies would have found impossible to believe. We decided to become the thing that hunts in the dark. Torres frowned. I don't understand, Admiral. You will. Chen walked back to her desk and picked up a small device that looked like an ordinary tablet computer. She pressed her thumb to the screen, and suddenly every display in the room lit up with new information. Numbers scrolled past faster than human eyes could follow. Ship positions, troop deployments, weapon system status reports, supply inventories. All showing green, all showing ready. For 300 years, Captain, we've been preparing for this day. While the galaxy forgot about us, we've been working, building, planning. getting ready for the moment when some alien species would finally decide humanity needed to be wiped out. Torres stared at the displays. Those numbers, Admiral, are you saying we have that many ships? That many weapons? I'm saying we have enough. Chen's voice was calm, almost conversational. The aliens think Earth went quiet because we were afraid. They think our silence meant we were hiding like scared children. They never considered that we might have gone quiet because we were preparing for war. On the main screen, a new image appeared. It showed the alien fleet approaching Earth's solar system. Thousands of ships in perfect formation, their weapons powered up, their shields glowing with energy fields that could deflect asteroids. Look at them, Captain. Beautiful ships, advanced technology, crews trained for centuries in galactic warfare. Chen's voice took on an almost admiring tone. They're probably feeling very confident right now. After all, they've conquered hundreds of species. Earth should be easy. Torres looked at the alien fleet, then at the status displays showing humanity's hidden forces. Admiral, when will we respond to their ultimatum? Chen checked her chronometer. In about 6 hours, when their lead ships cross into our outer defense perimeter. She sat back down at her desk. But we're not going to respond with words, Captain. Then, how? We're going to respond the way humans always respond when someone threatens our home. Chen's eyes grew cold. We're going to show them what 3 centuries of human patience and planning can accomplish. The room fell silent except for the quiet hum of computers and the distant sound of ventilation systems. In that silence, Captain Torres began to understand that this day had been planned for longer than he had been alive, that every human in the solar system had been preparing for this moment since before his grandparents were born. Admiral, he said quietly, what happens now? Chen looked at him with something that might have been pity, not for humanity, but for the aliens racing toward Earth with such confidence in their superiority. Now, Captain, the galaxy learns what happens when you declare war on a species that's been waiting in the dark for you to make exactly that mistake. She stood up again, this time with the bearing of someone who had carried a terrible burden for decades and was finally ready to set it down. Send word to all commands. Operation Lazarus is now active. The gloves come off. She paused, then added, something that would be remembered for generations of humans to come. Tell them Earth accepts their declaration of war. In the depths of space, automated systems that had been sleeping for centuries began to wake up. On the surface of dead moons, weapons platforms disguised as mining equipment started powering up. In the asteroid belt, what looked like chunks of worthless rock began to move with purpose and intelligence. And in the outer darkness beyond Pluto, where no alien sensor had ever detected anything of interest, 1,000 human warships began to stir like sleeping giants awakening from a very long dream. The galaxy had made its choice 300 years ago when it decided humanity wasn't worth talking to. Now humanity would show them exactly how much that decision was going to cost. 300 years earlier, President Maria Santos had stood before the United Nations General Assembly with tears streaming down her face. The first alien contact had gone exactly as badly as humanity's worst pessimists had predicted. They called us vermin, she had said, her voice barely steady. The Vorthak survey captain looked at our cities, our art, our children, and called us an infestation of amusing bipedal rodents that might be useful for manual labor if properly trained. The assembly hall had been silent. Every representative from every nation on Earth sat frozen in their chairs, trying to process the reality that humanity was not alone in the universe, and that their new neighbors wanted to turn them into slaves. The captain informed me that Earth has been marked for colonization in 50 standard years, Santos continued. Humanity will be relocated to prison worlds where we can work in mining operations until we die. Our planet will be stripped clean and sold to the highest bidder. That was the moment humanity changed forever. Not because of fear, though there was plenty of that. Not because of anger, though every human felt rage burning in their hearts. Humanity changed because for the first time in their history, every person on Earth understood they faced the same enemy. Dr. Elizabeth Reeves, head of the Global Science Council, had raised her hand. "Madam President, how long do we have before they return?" 50 years. Then we need to disappear. The room erupted in confused voices, but Dr. Reeves had continued speaking over the noise. Not surrender, not hide, disappear. Make them think. We're dead. Make them forget we exist. Give ourselves time to become something they never expected. General Harrison Webb, the military advisor, had laughed bitterly. "Doctor, you're talking about hiding an entire planet. That's impossible." "No, General. I'm talking about hiding an entire species while it evolves into something that can fight back." That conversation led to the Great Darkening. Within 2 years, every radio transmission from Earth stopped. Every satellite went silent. Solar collectors were launched to partially mask the sun's output from that direction. To any alien sensor, Earth simply went dark. But Earth wasn't dying. It was transforming. Admiral Chen remembered being a young engineering student during those early years. Everyone worked with desperate intensity, knowing their children's lives depended on what they could accomplish. The planet became a single, unified nation with one goal: survival through superior preparation. The first breakthrough came in year 7. Dr. Yuki Tanaka's team successfully reverse-engineered the alien scout ship's faster-than-light drive, not just copied it, improved it. Human engineering had always focused on efficiency and reliability rather than flashy displays of power. The alien drive was fast but wasteful. The human version was faster and used half the energy. By year 15, hidden shipyards were operating in the outer solar system. By year 30, the first human ships were making secret reconnaissance flights to alien worlds. By year 50, when the Vorthak were supposed to return for colonization, human agents were living undercover in dozens of alien societies. The Vorthak never came back. Their records showed Earth as sterilized by natural disaster, solar event, caused total ecological collapse. They had crossed humanity off their list and moved on to easier prey. Captain Martinez had been one of those early reconnaissance pilots. Her job was to map alien defense systems and study their technology. What she found changed everything humanity thought they knew about galactic civilization. "They're soft," she had reported after her first mission to Vorthak space. "Incredibly advanced, but they've never fought anyone who could hurt them back. Their tactics are 3,000 years old because they've never needed to change them. They just show up, announce victory, and wait for their enemies to surrender." That intelligence shaped everything that followed. Humanity didn't try to match alien technology. Instead, they focused on areas where aliens had grown lazy through millennia of easy victories. Stealth systems that could fool sensors designed to track primitive spacecraft. Weapons that could punch through shields optimized to stop energy blasts, not kinetic rounds. Tactics based on mobility and surprise rather than brute force displays of power. Dr. Sarah Kim's breakthrough in artificial intelligence came in year 85. While aliens used computers as tools, humans created true machine minds that could think and adapt faster than any organic brain. These AI systems could process battle data, predict enemy movements, and coordinate complex operations across light years of space in real time. The genetic modification program started in year 100. Not to make humans stronger or faster, but to make them capable of disguising themselves as other species. Volunteers underwent painful procedures to alter their appearance, their biochemistry, even their DNA. They became spies who could live for decades in alien societies, gathering intelligence and waiting for activation orders. By year 150, humanity had agents in every major alien government. Engineers who could sabotage critical infrastructure, military advisors who could corrupt defense plans, scientists who could introduce fatal flaws into new weapon systems. all of them patient, all of them invisible, all of them waiting. The Terra Armada began construction in year 200. 1,000 ships, each one a masterpiece of human engineering. Not just warships, but mobile colonies capable of supporting human life indefinitely in the depths of space. They were built in sections across hundreds of hidden facilities, then assembled in the cold darkness beyond Neptune's orbit, where no alien sensor would ever think to look. Admiral Chen had commanded the construction of her flagship, the Terran, Patience. Every system on board was designed by humans who had never forgotten that single moment when aliens looked at their species and saw nothing but useful animals. The ship's weapons could fire rounds that would reach their targets weeks before any sensor detected them. Its hull was made from materials that bent light around them, making the ship invisible to every known form of alien detection. Its computers could hack into alien networks from across star systems and turn their own defenses against them. But the most important feature wasn't technological. It was the mindset of every human who served aboard her. They weren't soldiers trained to fight battles. They were predators trained to hunt. Year 300 arrived with humanity ready for war, in ways no alien species could comprehend. They had learned to think in centuries rather than years, to plan operations that might take decades to complete, to wait with infinite patience for exactly the right moment to strike. The moment that arrived on a Tuesday morning when Ambassador Zethkar made the mistake of threatening Earth. Admiral Chen looked at the tactical displays showing alien ships approaching the solar system. They flew in perfect formation, broadcasting their presence on every frequency, confident that fear would paralyze their enemy. They had no idea that Earth's response had been planned since before any of them were born. That humanity had spent 3 centuries turning every asteroid into a potential weapon, every dead moon into a hidden fortress, every piece of space debris into a sensor platform or communications relay. The aliens thought they were attacking a primitive world defended by desperate survivors. Instead, they were flying into a trap that had been 300 years in the making. "Begin final preparations," Admiral Chen ordered. "In 6 hours, the galaxy learns what happens when you give humanity 3 centuries to prepare for your arrival." The Great Darkening was ending. It was time for the galaxy to meet what humanity had become in the silence. Fleet Admiral Kethmore of the Vorthak Empire had conquered 47 worlds in his long military career. He knew the patterns of surrender as well as any warrior in galactic history. First came the desperate messages begging for mercy. Then, the chaotic evacuation attempts. Finally, the pathetic last stands that ended in predictable defeat. The humans were breaking pattern, and it made him uneasy. Communications? Any response from the third planet? He asked from his command throne. Aboard the flagship Stellar Dominion. Nothing, Admiral. Complete radio silence since their acknowledgement message 6 hours ago. Kethmore's 4 arms drummed against his armrests. His fleet of 3,000 ships was now deep in the outer solar system, well within range of any planetary defense systems. Yet the humans showed no signs of panic, no desperate attempts to negotiate, no military response at all. Sensors, what do you read from the inner system? Standard orbital traffic around the third planet, Admiral. Some small craft moving between their moon and their homeworld. A few mining operations in their asteroid belt. No military vessels detected. And their outer system defenses? None detected, Admiral. No weapon platforms, no ship formations, no energy signatures indicating military installations. Kethmore felt the familiar surge of disappointment that came with easy victories. He had hoped these humans might provide more entertainment than the usual cowering primitives, but it seemed they were just as weak as his initial intelligence. Reports had suggested. Very well. Begin attack formation Beta 7. We'll eliminate their orbital infrastructure first, then demand surrender. If they refuse, we proceed with full bombardment. The massive alien fleet began spreading into attack formation. Thousands of ships moving with the precision of a military force that had performed this operation countless times before. energy. Weapons powered up. Shield generators hummed to life. Troop transports prepared for the coming occupation. None of them noticed the small objects drifting through the outer system. Pieces of debris that looked like chunks of asteroid or ancient spacecraft wreckage. Objects so ordinary that the alien sensors classified them as background noise and filtered them out of tactical displays. The first ship died without ever knowing it was under attack. Captain Valdez aboard the human stealth ship Ghost Protocol watched through her sensors as the alien destroyer simply vanished. One moment it was there, broadcasting position data to its fleet. The next moment it was expanding gas and scattered metal fragments. "Target eliminated," she reported on the quantum-encrypted channel that connected every human vessel in the system. No enemy response detected. Similar reports came in from dozens of other stealth ships. The aliens were so confident in their sensors, so certain that their technology could detect any threat, that they couldn't comprehend weapons fired from ships they couldn't see. Admiral Chen monitored the battle from her command center, watching as red dots representing alien ships began disappearing from the tactical display one by one. The human ships were using tactics no galactic military had ever encountered. Complete stealth, no formation flying, no communications that aliens could detect, weapons that left no energy signatures. "Ghost 7 to command," came another report. "Enemy cruiser eliminated." They're starting to notice the losses. On board the Stellar Dominion, Fleet Admiral Kethmore was indeed starting to notice. In the past hour, he had lost over 200 ships, with no indication of what was destroying them. "Tactical analysis," he barked. "Unknown, Admiral. Ships are simply disappearing. No energy discharges detected. No projectile signatures. No enemy vessels on sensors." "That's impossible." "Admiral," his communications officer interrupted, "we're receiving scattered distress calls from the outer formations, brief transmissions before the ships go silent. Play them." The bridge speakers crackled with desperate alien voices. "Contact bearing? No. Wait, there's nothing there. Sensors show clear space, but something just... Emergency! We are under attack by... static." Kethmore felt something he had not experienced in 2 centuries of military service. Fear. Not fear of defeat, but fear of the unknown. His enemy was invisible, silent, and picking off his ships like a predator stalking prey in tall grass. All ships, defensive formation Delta 3, full sensor sweeps, maximum shield power. The alien fleet, pulled together into a tight defensive ball, every ship trying to watch every other ship's back. Their sensors ran at full power, flooding space with active scans that should have revealed any hidden enemy. They found nothing but empty space and drifting debris. Commodore Sarah Okafor smiled as she watched the alien fleet cluster together. From her position aboard the stealth dreadnought Terran Patience, she could see every alien ship with perfect clarity. Her advanced sensors could track their shield frequencies, monitor their internal communications, even analyze the stress patterns in their hull metals. "They're scared," she observed to her tactical officer. "Look at that formation. They're bunched up like sheep hiding from wolves." "Ma'am, should we continue picking off stragglers?" "Negative. Time for Phase 2. She activated the fleet communications system. "All vessels, this is Commodore Okafor. Execute Hunter Protocol. Target their flagship." The Terran Patience was humanity's answer to alien capital ships. Where alien vessels were built for intimidation and overwhelming firepower, human ships were built for killing. Every system on board existed for one purpose: to destroy enemy vessels as efficiently as possible. The ship's main weapon was a mass accelerator that could fire projectiles at significant fractions of light speed. The rounds were made from materials that would punch through any known shield technology, guided by AI systems that could predict and compensate for evasive maneuvers. "Target locked," reported the weapons officer. "Stellar Dominion, bearing 27 Mark IV, range 600,000 kilometers. Fire." The round left the Terran patience at 40% light speed. It would take 2.67 seconds to reach its target. In that time, the alien flagship's computers would have no opportunity to detect the incoming projectile, calculate an evasive course, or raise additional shields. Fleet Admiral Kethmore was in the middle of ordering another sensor sweep when his flagship exploded around him. The kinetic round punched through the Stellar Dominion's shields like they weren't there, tore through 17 decks of armored hull, and detonated the ship's main reactor. The massive vessel, pride of the Vorthak fleet, became a brief new star in the darkness of space. Every alien ship in the fleet felt the shock wave. More importantly, every alien commander realized that their most advanced warship, protected by their best shields and defended by their finest crew, had been destroyed by an enemy they still couldn't see. "This is Rear Admiral Theknar aboard the war's end," came a transmission across alien frequencies. "I am assuming fleet command. All ships, emergency hyperspace jump to rally point 7. We are withdrawing." But the hyperspace jump drives wouldn't activate. Unknown to the aliens, human agents working inside their technology corporations had introduced subtle flaws into the navigation computers. Flaws that would only activate when specific trigger signals were transmitted. Signals that human ships were broadcasting right now. "Admiral, hyperspace is down. Navigation computers are showing critical errors." "Then we fight our way out," Theknar ordered. "All ships, full power to weapons and shields. If we can't see them, we'll destroy everything." The alien fleet opened. Fire in all directions, filling space with energy beams and missile volleys. It was an impressive display of firepower that would have devastated any conventional enemy. But there was no conventional enemy to hit. The human ships continued their methodical destruction, appearing just long enough to fire before vanishing back into the darkness. Each shot was precise, targeting critical systems and leaving alien vessels crippled and helpless. Within 4 hours, the mighty fleet that had come to destroy Earth was reduced to scattered debris and a few dozen ships broadcasting surrender, signals on every frequency they could access. Admiral Chen received the final battle report in her underground command center. 3,000 enemy vessels destroyed or disabled. Human casualties, 0. Mission time, 4 hours, 17 minutes. Captain Torres stared at the tactical display showing the complete annihilation of the alien fleet. "Admiral, how is this possible? How did we destroy them so completely without losing a single ship?" Chen stood and walked to the wall display showing Earth's solar system. Now it showed the truth that had been hidden for 3 centuries. Thousands of human vessels emerging from stealth mode, weapon platforms revealing themselves on asteroids and moons, defense networks that turned the entire system into a fortress that no enemy could penetrate. "Captain, for 300 years the galaxy assumed our silence meant we were weak. They never considered that we might have been using that time to become the most dangerous predators in known space." She turned to face him. "Today they learned the difference between a species that fights to survive and a species that has evolved to hunt." In the depths of space, the few surviving alien ships continued broadcasting surrender offers. They received only one response, transmitted on all frequencies in perfect Vorthak. "Message to the hegemony of stellar nations. Earth has received your..." The Hegemony Council chambers on Vorth Prime had seen many emergency sessions over the centuries, but never one like this. Representatives from 67 species sat in stunned silence as the tactical display showed the complete destruction of their mightiest fleet. High Counselor Zexthul of the Hegemony spoke first, his voice trembling with disbelief. 3,000 ships, our most advanced vessels, our finest crews, gone in 4 hours. The humans couldn't have done this alone, insisted war leader Grakfor of the Bruthan Confederation. They must have alien allies, some enemy faction using them as a front. Ambassador Lithara from the Scientific Collective shook her head. The weapon signatures don't match any known technology. These attacks came from systems we've never encountered before." "Then where did they get such weapons?" demanded Trademaster Velnoth. "They made them," said a new voice from the chamber entrance. Every alien head turned as Dr. Elena Vasquez entered the council chambers. She looked exactly like a female Zephyrian, complete with the pale blue skin and four-fingered hands that characterized that species. Only her eyes gave away her true nature. They held the patient, calculating gaze that marked her as human. "Who are you?" Zexthul demanded. "Dr. Elena Vasquez, Human Diplomatic Corps. I've been living on your world for the past 43 years as a Zephyrian research scientist. My colleagues and I thought it was time to introduce ourselves properly." The chamber erupted in chaos. Shouts of alarm, demands for security, accusations of impossible deception. But Elena simply stood there, waiting patiently for them to exhaust themselves. "Security!" Zexthul called. "Arrest this thing!" The security guards who rushed in stopped abruptly as they found themselves facing not one human, but dozens. Across the chamber, aliens who had served in various capacities for decades were removing biosynthetic skin patches and neural scramblers, revealing themselves as members of humanity's deep cover intelligence network. "I wouldn't recommend violence," Elena said calmly. "My colleagues throughout the galaxy have spent centuries learning your infrastructure systems very well. A single transmitted code from any of us will shut down power grids, crash hyperspace navigation networks, and disable defense platforms across hundreds of worlds." War leader Grakvor reached for his weapon, then froze as every light in the chamber flickered and his personal communicator began displaying human text. "As you can see," Elena continued, "we've been preparing for this conversation for quite some time." High Counselor Zexthul sank back into his chair. "How many of you are there?" "Enough." Elena moved to the center of the chamber. "Humans have been living among you for over 2 centuries. We've served as your scientists, your engineers, your military advisors, even your government officials. We've married into your families, raised children who never knew their parent was human, and contributed to your societies in ways you never imagined." "This is impossible," whispered Ambassador Lithara. "Our security services would have detected genetic fraud on this scale." Elena smiled. "Your security services were designed by some of my colleagues, as were your computer networks, your defense systems, and most of your advanced technology developed in the last century. Humans have a gift for improving existing designs." She activated a holographic display that filled the chamber's center. It showed a map of galactic civilization with thousands of points of light scattered across hundreds of worlds. Each of these lights represents a human agent currently active in your societies. Scientists who can introduce fatal flaws into your weapons, engineers who can sabotage your ships, government officials who can misdirect your military responses. All of them have been waiting for today. The display changed to show cascading system failures across multiple star systems, power grids failing, hyperspace lanes shutting down, defense platforms powering down. As of 1 hour ago, Protocol Lazarus went into full effect. Every human agent in galactic space has activated their contingency plans. Your civilization is currently experiencing what your own military analysts would classify as total infrastructure collapse. Trademaster Velnoth found his voice. "What do you want?" "What we've always wanted," Elena replied. "To be left alone to live our lives in peace. But since you decided that wasn't acceptable, we'll settle for your complete surrender." The chamber fell silent except for the steady pulse of emergency alerts coming from communication panels around the room. Each alert represented another system. Failure. Another world going dark. Another piece of galactic civilization grinding to a halt. "You don't understand," Zexthul said desperately. "The galaxy contains billions of beings, thousands of worlds. Even if you've sabotaged our infrastructure, you can't possibly occupy and control that much territory." "We don't want to control you," Elena said. We want to replace you." The holographic display changed again, showing the outer edges of known space. Dark regions that had been marked as empty or unexplored began lighting up with human activity. Mining operations, construction facilities, entire hidden colonies that had been developing for centuries. While you were ignoring us, we were expanding. Not into your territory, but into the spaces between your territories. The dead systems you considered worthless. The dark regions you never bothered to explore. We've been building our own civilization. Out there in the black, a new set of images appeared. The Terra Armada, revealed in its full glory. 1,000 ships, each one larger and more advanced than anything in the alien display. But more than warships. They were mobile worlds, carrying entire cities within their hulls. These ships contained the displaced population of Earth. 2 billion humans who have been living in space for the past century, preparing for this day. They're not conquerors coming to occupy your worlds. They're colonists coming to claim the territory we've already prepared for them. Admiral Chen's voice came through the chamber's communication system, speaking in perfect galactic standard. "This is Admiral Wei-Lin Chen, commanding the Terran Confederation Navy. As of this moment, human forces are moving to secure 300 star systems in unclaimed space along your borders. We are not invading your territory. We are claiming territory that was never yours." The display showed human fleets moving through space with mechanical precision, not toward alien worlds, but toward empty systems that sat between established territories. Systems that aliens had ignored because they lacked valuable resources or strategic importance. "You see," Elena explained, "we learned something about the galaxy during our years of observation. You're all so focused on the rich worlds, the easy conquests, that you've ignored vast regions of space, regions that contain everything a patient species needs to build a new civilization." The implications hit the alien representatives like a physical blow. Humans weren't trying to steal their territory. They were taking territory that had been there for the taking all along, territory that the great galactic powers had overlooked in their focus on more immediate prizes. "Furthermore," Elena continued, "our new territories will be positioned to control the major hyperspace routes between your core systems. Any trade, any military movement, any communication between your scattered worlds will have to pass through human space." War leader Grakvor slammed his fist on his desk. "This is intolerable. We'll mobilize every fleet, every army. We'll drive you back into the darkness where you came from." Elena's smile never wavered. "With what ships? The fleets you sent against Earth were your finest vessels. The backup forces you're thinking of mobilizing are currently stranded in port because their navigation computers are displaying fatal errors. The weapons you're planning to use have components that will fail catastrophically if you try to fire them." She gestured to the human agents scattered throughout the chamber. "We've had centuries to prepare for every possible response you might make. Every contingency has been planned for. Every backup system has a hidden flaw. Every emergency protocol includes a human-designed failure point. You've been trapped in amber for 300 years, she continued, unable to move, unable to change, while we've been growing stronger. Today, you finally understand what you're really facing. The chamber's emergency lighting activated as another power grid failed. In the red glow, Elena's expression became something that would haunt alien nightmares for generations to come. The age of easy galactic conquest is over. Humanity has arrived, and we are not the prey you thought we were. We are the predators who have been waiting in the dark for you to make exactly the mistake you made today. Outside the chamber windows, the first human ships appeared in orbit around Vorth Prime, not to attack, but to establish a blockade that would remain in place until the terms of surrender were finalized. The galaxy had declared war on Earth. Now Earth was declaring victory over the galaxy. 5 years later, Ambassador Sarah Chen stood before the newly constructed Galactic Assembly on the space station that orbited Earth. The daughter of Admiral Wei-Lin Chen had inherited her mother's patience and strategic mind, but she also possessed something the older generation of humans had been forced to set aside, the ability to forgive. The assembly hall was filled with representatives from species that had once viewed humanity as vermin. Now they sat in carefully arranged sections, listening to the human who had become the de facto leader of galactic civilization through the simple fact that no major decision could be made without human approval. 5 years ago, Sarah began, her voice carrying easily through the vast chamber, your leaders declared war on Earth. Today we gather to discuss the new galactic order that emerged from that decision. In the front row sat the former High Counselor Zex Thul, now serving as a junior representative from Vorth Prime. His species had been among the first to formally surrender, and he had spent the intervening years trying to rebuild trust with humanity. It was a process that would take generations. Some of you have asked why humanity did not simply destroy your worlds and scatter your populations as you intended to do to us. Sarah continued. The answer lies in something your species never understood about humans. We are builders, not destroyers. The holographic display behind her showed the current state of the galaxy. Human territory now encompassed over 400 star systems, but they were arranged in a careful pattern that supported rather than threatened alien civilizations. Hyperspace routes that had been cut by human expansion were quickly replaced by better, more efficient paths that actually improved galactic commerce. When we went dark 3 centuries ago, we made a choice about what kind of species we wanted to become. We could have followed the path of conquest and domination that characterizes most galactic civilizations. Instead, we chose to become shepherds. Dr. Elena Vasquez, now serving as Director of Interspecies Relations, stood from her seat in the human section. Her appearance had been restored to fully human, though she still retained the linguistic skills that allowed her to speak directly with any alien species. The infrastructure failures your worlds experienced during the war have been repaired, she announced. But they have been repaired with human improvements. Your power grids are now more efficient and more reliable. Your hyperspace networks can carry more traffic with greater safety. Your defense systems are more effective against the kinds of pirates and raiders that have plagued this region for millennia. An alien representative from the Zephyrian Collective raised a hand. Dr. Vasquez, our people want to know, what guarantees do we have that humans won't use these improvements against us in the future? Elena smiled. The same guarantee you had before, none. The difference is that now you know we're here. And you know what we're capable of. But you also know that in 5 years of human dominance, we haven't conquered a single alien world or enslaved a single alien population. Instead, Sarah added, we've eliminated the pirate fleets that were preying on your merchant vessels. We've mediated trade disputes that your own courts couldn't resolve. We've provided disaster relief when your worlds faced natural catastrophes. We've done this not because we had to, but because that's what shepherds do. The truth was more complex than either woman let on. Humanity's transformation from hunted to hunter to guardian had not been easy or automatic. There had been debates, sometimes heated, about what to do with their newfound power. Admiral Chen had argued for complete replacement of alien governments with human administrators. They tried to exterminate us, she had said during one memorable council session. We owe them nothing but the destruction they planned for us. But her daughter and the younger generation of humans had disagreed. They had spent their lives living among aliens, understanding their cultures, even caring about their welfare. They could not simply flip a switch and become the same kind of predators they had been forced to defend against. The question before us today, Sarah continued, addressing the assembly, is what form the new galactic order will take going forward. The holographic display changed to show a proposed restructuring of galactic government. Gone was the hegemony of stellar nations, with its hierarchy of dominant and subordinate species. In its place was a confederation where each species maintained internal autonomy while contributing to collective defense and shared infrastructure. Humanity offers to serve as the coordinating authority for this new confederation, Sarah announced. Not as rulers, but as protectors. We have the technology and the strategic position to defend against external threats. We have the patience for long-term planning that most species lack, and we have demonstrated that we can be trusted with power. War leader Grakvor, whose species had fought longest against human authority, stood slowly. Ambassador Chen, my people have lost much pride in recent years, but we have also lost the constant fear that characterized our existence under the old order. Our borders are secure. Our trade routes are protected. Our children do not wake in fear of raiders or slavers. He paused, clearly struggling with words that would have been unthinkable 5 years earlier. Perhaps being shepherded is not the worst fate a species can face. Sarah nodded respectfully. War leader Grakvor speaks wisdom, but let me be clear about something. This is not a permanent arrangement imposed by human will. Any species that wishes to leave this confederation is free to do so. Any world that wants to govern itself without human protection can make that choice. She gestured to a section of the assembly where several smaller species sat. The Kelos Republic chose independence 2 years ago. They now maintain their own defense forces and govern themselves without human involvement. We wish them well and continue to honor trade agreements with them. What she didn't mention was that the Kelos Republic had requested renewed human protection within 8 months, after discovering that the galaxy still contained aggressive species who viewed independence as an invitation to conquest. The choice before you is simple, Sarah continued. You can accept human shepherding and enjoy the benefits of stability, protection, and technological advancement. Or you can choose independence and take responsibility for your own survival in a galaxy that remains dangerous. Ambassador Lithara, from the scientific collective, raised a hand. What of the human agents who remain embedded in our societies? Will they be withdrawn? Dr. Vasquez answered. Those who wish to return to human space are welcome to do so. But many have built lives among your people over the centuries. They have families, careers, friendships that they value. They will remain, but their role will change from intelligence gathering to cultural exchange and mutual support. The session continued for hours, working through the details of the new arrangement. Trade protocols, defense agreements, technology sharing, dispute, resolution mechanisms. All of it overseen by humans who had learned to think in centuries rather than years. Finally, as the assembly prepared to adjourn, Sarah stood for her closing remarks. 5 years ago, you saw humanity as a threat to be eliminated. Today, you have learned what we truly are, a species that prepares thoroughly, strikes decisively when threatened, but prefers to build rather than destroy. She looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of representatives from dozens of worlds. You declared war on Earth because you thought we were weak. Earth accepted your declaration because we knew we were strong. But strength without wisdom leads only to destruction, and wisdom without strength leads only to defeat. She activated one final holographic display. It showed Earth as it appeared now, a blue-green world orbiting peacefully around its star, no longer hidden, no longer silent. Around it moved the orbital habitats and space stations that housed the Terran Confederation government. Ships came and went regularly, carrying trade goods and diplomats between Earth and the hundreds of worlds that now looked to humanity for leadership. The age of galactic conquest is over, Sarah announced. The age of galactic cooperation has begun. Humanity stands ready to guide this process, not as conquerors, but as the species that learned how to wait in the dark until wisdom and strength could be combined in service of peace. The applause that followed was not enthusiastic, but it was real. These aliens had learned to respect human capabilities even if they could not love human dominance. That respect would have to be enough. As the assembly dispersed, Sarah remained behind, looking out through the station's massive windows at the Earth below. Her mother's generation had saved humanity through preparation and ruthless efficiency. Now it was her generation's responsibility to prove that humanity deserved the power it had claimed. The galaxy had declared war on Earth and discovered what humans could accomplish when given centuries to prepare. Now they would learn what humans could accomplish when given centuries to build. In the depths of space, human ships continued their patient patrol routes, watching over trade lanes and monitoring for threats. They moved silently through the darkness, no longer hiding, but still remembering the lessons learned during humanity's long wait in the dark. The hunt was over. The shepherding had begun.